When you work in F1, it just builds and builds and builds to this massive crescendo. But once the final checkered flag is waved,
so the season's over. What do they do when it's over? Do they go on holiday? Do they have media obligations? Like, what happens?
so when I worked in F1 a very long time ago, they would have gone on holiday. Now, there's a 3-day test in Abu Dhabi. So as soon as checkered flag goes down, the mechanics have to rebuild the cars, get ready for a test, a 3-day test. Some of the top drivers might pull out and go on holiday, but a lot of the drivers and new drivers will be testing.
So what about contracts? Obviously, some drivers, their contract comes to an end, they leave the team, you have other drivers coming in. So do they join the teams on the test? Do they just take the summer off because they're not allowed to? Like, how does that work?
As soon as the checkered flag goes down, they'll swap teams, go to their next team and test that car that they're going to be driving in for the new team.
What happens to the actual cars? I'm assuming they don't just leave them there in Abu Dhabi.
Cars will stay in Abu Dhabi, 3-day test, then after the test, the cars will be flown back, pit equipment, garages will all be sea freighted back, get stripped, possibly rebuilt, but they won't be using those cars again. They'll be building brand new cars.
Will they carry over any parts from the previous car to the 2025 season, or will they just, that's it, they're done?
Yeah, some of the parts will be called carryover parts. Some of the standard parts especially will be used in the 25 season, but a lot of the car will be completely new. Some of the parts from those cars we will eventually get to make products from, but we won't get them straight away. With some teams in our contracts, it takes 3 years for us to get the parts. Other teams, we get them a bit quicker.
Why 3 years for some of these parts to come through?
The faster teams have it in our contract that it takes 3 years because they don't want any IP being released.
How much of these car parts will we use in our always-on products versus how many will go into R&D and be used later?
Our always-on products makes up about 70%. That's like our brake disc tables, our brake disc clocks, the brake pads that we print on, and then the other 30% will go into R&D where we're making new tables, new lamps, and constantly working on innovation for new products.
Are there any top secret projects that we're working on currently that you can tell the people about?
We made some lay shaft tables for Alpine and we'll be rolling them out across some of the other teams. And we're working on a brand new simulator. There's lots of stuff being worked on. Some stuff I can't tell you about. Well, not you, I can tell you, but not you.
What about the mechanics and the workforce? What happens to them when season's over?
I know when I worked in F1, when the checkered flag went down, you'd pack up and then usually I'd go on holiday for 3 weeks because during the season you weren't allowed to use your holiday, you had to use it all at the end of the season. I'm sure that's a bit different now. The mechanics will have to prep the cars and do the test. Then after the test, I'm hoping they'll get to have a big break. I know January is a big time of the year and Feb because you're building the new car ready for the new season and then you'll do some testing and then the season starts so you're back into it.
When you're on the actual season, you're not allowed to take holiday in the middle. So say you got like a 2-week break, you're not allowed to take holiday.
That was when I did it. I wasn't allowed any holiday. I had to use it in the winter. In those days as well, we used to be on the race and test team, or sometimes it was split up, but you'd be doing a lot. There was a lot less races as well.
Yeah.
Maybe 18 races instead of 22, 23. F1 looks great on the TV, but it's hard work. It's hard work for everybody.
And what about the team that's based at the factory? Do they just go straight on to the next car as soon as that checkered flag's over, or have they got a week, or how does that work?
Team at the factory are working 364 days a year, every day except Christmas Day, 7 days a week, and usually shifts as well, 24 hours. You just move straight on to the next project. A lot of this stuff is work all happening as well while the team's racing. So the new car will already be designed, being worked on, tooling being made, patterns being made, and composites being made. Yeah, it's non-stop.
How do the teams actually cope with these massive triple headers, you know, from Vegas to Qatar to all the way around the world? How do they deal with that?
That trip from Vegas and then changing to the time zones in Qatar, that's relentless, it's hard work. But you just cope with it, it's your job, you know.
Part of the job.
It's part of the job. I know it's easy to say, it's part of the job, but it is part of the job. Sleep on the plane.
Come the end of the season, how does the team measure success? How do they measure failure?
So after every race, you usually have a team debrief, but the last race of the season, you don't. You set goals at the start of the season, maybe you want to finish 1 place better, 2 place better, that's how you measure success. But obviously the ultimate success is winning the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship.
And what about bonuses in terms of team performance and everything? How does that work?
Again, it can depend on the team. Like if you're winning, you'd get a really good bonus. I never won on a World Championship winning team, but I know people that have come accustomed to getting their bonus and getting it every year. So if you are winning and winning and winning, that's great. But then once you start not winning, you're going to feel it in the pocket. Are you used to spending it? When I worked in F1, we were always on, if you won, you got X amount of bonus, or is it in the top 3?
Yeah.
So even in a race, I think we were getting points bonuses. If you got points, you'd get a bonus.
And what's it like being on the race team when you're away as a mechanic for families, for other people? What's that like?
Yeah, you're away a lot. So you can see the positives and the negatives. It depends on how well, I guess, some people get on with their family. You're away a lot. Since I've left, I've had kids, but I never had kids when I was working in Formula One. I couldn't ever see myself working on a race team while having kids, but a lot of people do it, male and female, and they have to travel. It must be really tough. But, you know, sometimes if you're winning as well, you're creating success for your family.
What goes on over here at the end of the season?
Yeah, complete opposite to Formula One. November and December are our busiest times of the year with Christmas, dispatching 300 to 400 parcels a day. Lots of people are doing overtime, busiest time of the year.
We're moving on to 2025. Can you elaborate on anything that we've got planned, what we've got coming up?
All our websites are being rebuilt. We're building a new auction platform that we're going to plug in that we haven't built for us. That will all be launched in March, April time. Growth in all of our current channels, more products, building out the product team, and we're going to add, I think at the moment the plan is 5 new licenses. This time next year, we'll be dispatching even more parcels.